Hello everyone, welcome back. Once again, I'm Alex, this is Rupert from Biz-Growth Bureau. Thank you again for joining us. I suppose it'd be good to start with actually what people can expect to see out of this video. It's going to be short, 5-6 minutes long, but we're going to be going into the heart of how do I find my ideal client. And I suppose to kick it off, Rupert, is in a broad sense, how do you segment down and actually find who your ideal clients are?
Yeah, a great question. I think one of the things I should lead in with first, which ties in exactly with that question, is, for example, we all agree, I'm sure, that some of the best ways of getting new clients are through referrals or recommendations.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, and obviously networking can be a great place to find people, but again, if you go about things the right way. What we're talking about here is more about leveraging technology, especially now, in terms of finding your ideal type of clients. And a lot of that is about really trying to dig down deep and not trying to reach everyone.
And before we go on to that, before we go on to the technology side of it, because some people watching may not be that tech savvy at the moment yet, what are the organic ways, or more importantly, what are the ways that I as an individual, without social media or technology, what ways can I generate leads and find my ideal clients?
Well, if you're not talking about using the technology platforms, for example, it would be if you've already got existing customers, it's probably going back to your existing clients and asking them to give you referrals, especially if they're happy. Yeah,
cool. And how do you feel about things like networking, referral, business events and things like that? Is that a dying art, face-to-face, or is face-to-face?
Oh, no, definitely it's a really good thing to do. And obviously, for example, if there's some exhibitions or seminars you can go to as well, you meet some great people in that space.
I suppose it'd be a great distinction here for you to ask questions such as about what products we're actually selling, because if we're in a very consultative sale where it's a very bespoke solution, or it's a very much more consultative sale, I suppose face-to-face is always going to win over anything else.
Yes, it is. But the great thing is with technology now, for example, a lot of our meetings we were having to physically go and see clients, which we love doing, but of course it's spent an awful lot of time travelling. Whereas, of course, these days with being able to use webinar technology and also video conferencing as well, which is accessible to pretty well all of us now. We've done some fantastic deals just using those technologies alone.
And for the viewers at home, or for the viewers watching, sorry, what would you say are the top 3 technologies to use, either social media or platforms to use to not only target but actually get in front of your right clients? What would you say is the top 1, then the second one, then the third?
Right, it depends on who you're trying to reach, but if, for example, you're trying to reach people who are predominantly in the business-to-business space or business-to-charity space, then LinkedIn at the moment is probably one of the best platforms out there.
And that's LinkedIn, and because I know on LinkedIn you can have, and people at home may not know this, but you can have various accounts on LinkedIn. Which do you think is the best if I'm on a bit of a budget, or if I'm trying to reach my ideal clients? What is the best one to go for both on a budget and for my ideal client?
Right. If you've got no budget, then and you have got very limited amount of time to invest, or don't have the knowledge, then you could just do quite a bit with the free version of LinkedIn.
And can I get a good result from that still?
You will, but a lot of people tend to play at it, and the risk with that is that the results you may have therefore be very limited.
In that case, then if budget's not that much of a concern, and I've got a bit of extra money that I can put into my marketing, what approach would you take?
Okay, so let's assume you've got £60 or £70 a month to spend, or perhaps $80 or $90 if you're in the US. Then we'd probably recommend you upgrade to something like Sales Navigator.
Cool. Okay.
Because the searching capabilities there are very advanced, and also there's much less in the way of restrictions on how you use your account.
So that's the top one. So the top one that Rupert and I are recommending would be LinkedIn. And if you can afford the budget, it'd be Sales Navigator. What would be sort of second and third to top platforms you would say?
Now again, it depends on the target audience, but if you're selling more of a consumer-based product, it may well be Facebook, and obviously you do some very good targeting on Facebook. You've obviously got Twitter if you want to disseminate a lot of information to a lot of people. And of course now, especially with if it's something you're offering, it's something that's very visual, which might be clothing or whatever it may be. And because Instagram is now owned by Facebook as well, Instagram is a really good platform to look at as well.
I suppose it'd be a good time to tell the people watching, social media is something that is booming at the moment. It's obviously on the climb. We all know that. Everybody's on their phone. We all know that it's consumed in the mounds that it is. But I suppose we should give people the knowledge that we are actually going to do an entire series or an entire video actually on social media. We've only touched on things like LinkedIn and things like that today. Now, using those platforms, how do I segment down? How do I find my ideal clients using them platforms?
It's a really good question because, for example, some of these platforms are just so big. So, for example, if you took at LinkedIn alone, it's got 600 million people on it worldwide now, nearly 700 million. In the UK alone, it's 23 million or 18 million active accounts. So if you try and reach everyone, your effort would be far too diluted.
Right.
So it really is a case of trying to look at some of your existing clients, where your existing businesses come from, or if you can't do that because you're a very new business, about trying to very closely identify the people you're trying to reach, not just on where they're based and on level of seniority and industry sector, but also possibly even look at elements of persona around that as well.
And for the people watching, what are 5 things that they can write down to help them now? So if you are watching, I suppose grab a pen and paper. What are 5 things, Rupert, that people can do on social media platforms to help them segment down? So do I look at, say, seniority level? Do I look at turnover? Do I look at location? What are 5 things that people can write down at home that they can go away and start doing on a daily basis?
For example, some great things you can do is once you've identified who you're trying to reach, on LinkedIn there's 147 industry classifications.
So the number 1 thing would be, the first thing to maybe write down is look at, say, the actual industry that you're trying to go after.
Yeah.
What would be the second thing?
The second thing would be to look at potential level of seniority.
So the second thing, I suppose, would be...
So it might be director, CXO.
There we go. So it could be, is the managing director the decision maker? Is it the procurement officer, HR? What would be the third thing that people could write down?
The other part would be very good to look at would be company size. So you can break it down by number of employees.
Number of employees, or by turnover?
No, actually, it's one thing you can't do through LinkedIn. Obviously, in the US, you've got a slightly different way of searching, but you can't base it on turnover on LinkedIn.
And the fourth thing would be, what would be the fourth thing?
Some other areas you could look at, for example, one of the most powerful things, you've got key phrase search on LinkedIn.
So, and what would the fifth and final thing be? So if I'm trying to find my ideal client, we've got the 4 that we've already mentioned, but what would be the 5th thing that people could do right now that would be able to enable them to start looking at and finding their ideal clients?
Well, it also, you've probably got your own first level of connections. You're predominantly trying to reach people who are probably not in your immediate first level network. So filtering by second and third level connections can also give you some really amplified results out of that.
Right. Okay. And do certain people in certain industries, do they respond better? So the people at home, either you're using social media or you're using techniques like face-to-face, do certain industries perform quite well? Or more importantly, which ones do I want to avoid?
Okay, that's a really good question, actually. Out of the 147 LinkedIn industry classifications, we believe that about 125 of those are pretty good. Areas which can prove more challenging, certainly in the UK, and it's probably not too similar in other markets, it's, for example, local and central government could be a little bit more difficult. Yep. Police, armed forces.
These are for obvious reasons, aren't they? Because if you're in things like, if you're quite high up in the police, or if you're in say public sector, social media is not a massive presence for them, really, is it?
No, and also the other thing is, if, for example, let's say you're head of tenders, they don't really want people approaching all day long on LinkedIn, so you tend to find they're not particularly engaged.
Yeah.
But the other ones, you can get some really, really good results, and people make the mistake of assuming that LinkedIn isn't a serious platform for finding clients. Believe me, you can get some amazing results.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be a good way to wrap up that we actually, with our clients, because this kind of question that we're presented to, these are things that we actually go through with our client. I suppose if you want to delve into a little bit more about this, it'd probably be worth actually getting in touch with us, Business Growth Bureau. It'd probably be worth actually getting in touch with us. So not only can we provide you tools on how to ask these questions, but actually how do I do this with inside of my own business? And we've actually come up with our own free scorecard for you to use to actually be able to ask these questions with inside your own business and actually start to delve down of actually who are my ideal clients and where are they? And I suppose that's kind of probably one of the best ways to finish this up, right?
Yeah, that's good. I think there's probably one other thing I'd just add to that is also think about some of the things aren't always immediately obvious. So, for example, you can't filter by age on LinkedIn, but what you can do is filter by years of experience. So sometimes it's about thinking very laterally about how you can reach people. So it's not always the obvious thing. So that's more possibly focusing on the persona element of how to identify people. But yeah, really drill down as much as you can and break those numbers down to as small as possible segments, and you can really then hone down your campaign and get some really good niched results for your chosen target market.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So,
thank you.
As we'll always say, thank you so much for watching. If you've got this far, you must have enjoyed the content. If you have, it'd be wonderful if you could leave a comment. Your feedback is our oxygen, so thank you so much. I'm Alex Smith and Rupert Honeywood.
Lovely.
Business Growth Bureau. Thank you so much.
Cheers.